Seeing them in handcuffs today, I feel great. Getting justice.
Friday, the teen walked slowly and quietly into the courtroom. The arraignment lasted only a few minutes.
What's up with y'all? What's up with y'all? Welcome back to Moxie Approved. Man, we back in Mississippi. What's up with y'all in Mississippi? Let me know in the comment section. All you FBA folks, let me know you all right in the comment section. Cause this case I'm about to present to y'all, we've seen a few variations of stuff like this over the past few years. I don't know what's going on in Mississippi, but this past week, 6 law enforcement officers from Mississippi pled guilty to pretty much kidnapping and torturing. Not pretty much, they kidnapped and they tortured 2 black men that did nothing wrong. They were just living there with a white woman. Listen to this case. This is crazy.
Several Rankin County Sheriff's deputies accused in a lawsuit of beating and torturing 2 black men have been fired. The men filed a $400 million lawsuit against the 6 deputies and against Sheriff Brian Bailey. Attorneys for the sheriff's office say the deputies were fired Friday after they had been on administrative leave. The claims stem from an incident in January at a home in Braxton involving Michael Jenkins and Eddie Parker. Attorneys for the men have called for the resignation of Sheriff Bailey.
I'm not resigning. We understand that the alleged actions of these deputies has eroded the public's trust in our department. Rest assured that we will work diligently to restore that trust. We have already taken actions to ensure that we serve and protect the public while making sure the rights of all citizens are protected.
Now, attorneys for the men say they were subjected to 2 hours of brutality. The sheriff's office is the subject of a federal civil rights investigation.
I ought to stand right here, knowing, what happened right here. Justice is what it all boiled down to. I'm just like them, whether they're in uniform or not.
For 6 months, Eddie Parker has been living in a house of horrors where he says he was brutally beaten by deputies sworn to protect this rural Mississippi community. January 24th, Parker and his friend Michael Jenkins say that 6 white Rankin County deputies entered the home and tortured them for nearly 2 hours. A heavily redacted incident report says deputies were investigating, quote, reports of narcotic activity at the house. They said they saw a gun, though there was no proof either man had a weapon. In a federal civil rights lawsuit, the men allege deputies entered without a warrant, handcuffed them, and subjected them to nearly 2 hours of torture and racist abuse. Mary Jenkins, Michael's mother, says her son will never be the same.
I prayed with him, and I asked Michael, I said, if there's any life in you, Michael, if there's anything in you, please squeeze my hand, please let me know you're still in this body. And he did.
Jenkins' injuries make it difficult for him to speak.
It hurt. I'm embarrassed.
Has anyone from the department ever reached out to you and apologized? Have they ever asked for anything at all?
No.
The 2 men are suing a half a dozen Rankin County Sheriff's deputies, 3 named and 3 only identified as John Does. Rankin County Sheriff Brian Bailey was also named in the suit, and he said earlier this month deputies involved in the incident were no longer with the department, although he did not confirm the number of deputies or their names. A Richland Police Department officer resigned after he was implicated in the incident while off duty.
Have you guys ever seen a case like this before?
I have never, nor has any of the experienced attorneys that I work with have ever encountered such a malicious and sadistic and egregious case.
In the lawsuit, Jenkins and Parker say deputies handcuffed, kicked, waterboarded, and repeatedly tased them. He goes on to allege the deputies turned off their body cameras during the incident.
This was almost a 2-hour controlled torture and interrogation session by racist officers. They came in asking both men, were they dating white women?
The attorneys say had their clients not survived, this case may have been more difficult to bring to light.
Whatever they wrote in their official report would be the official word. Rankin County, they are used to the word of law enforcement being the final word.
They all need to be in jail. The one that actually did, and the one that stood by and watched. You just as bad as the other ones. I think that God blessed Michael to make it that night. because he knew something had to be done about Rankin County.
This definitely reminds me of from the 90s in New York when they took the broomstick, and this is YouTube. I can't say what they did with the broomstick, but this reminds me of that. Now, all of this happened because a white woman saw that her neighbor, another white woman, was living with 2 black males. So they did the whole typical cop shit, just ran in there. Oh, we think it's drugs in there. Oh, we heard it's a gun in there. And then when they didn't have none of that to really stand on as evidence, they just did the heinous stuff that you heard about.
We got validation today. You know, we won our situation. You know, we won that was our pride. You know, being believed. That was the most important thing for me.
Seeing them in handcuffs today, I feel great. Getting justice. It was just like a dream come true.
Never in my life I thought I would be ending up, you know, in a situation that, you know, had me like, dang, this is like literally getting, you know, beat by the police, you know, for nothing, you know. I don't know. I mean, it was like, ding, you know. I mean, something ain't right, you know.
We were getting tortured. It's not much of a feeling, but pain and suffering, brutal.
Yeah, that was a bad feeling.
Did you think you were going to survive that night?
No, sir.
What was going through your head?
Is we gonna make it? Wondering what they were gonna do next? Is we gonna live? Or we gonna end up in a ditch?
I mean, I'm not trying to disrespect anybody from Mississippi, but it just seems like on several levels, definitely in the Justice Department, that Mississippi is just decades behind the rest of America. I mean, these men, they turned off their body cam, and you know, that's considered admitting to some sort of guilt when you turn the body cam off, and that's what they did. They turned the body cam off. But in this video, I wanted to focus on one of the 6 men that pled guilty in this hate crime. And the one I want to focus on is Christian Dedmon. Now, I'm pretty sure for this whole Goon Squad, the Goons, they said that they called them the Goon Squad because they was doing stuff pretty much off the books. So
the Goon Squad, that seems to be a crime organization that I guess they were paid to go out and then, you know, to stop. But they became that themselves. I believe policing and, you know, the public, you know, go hand in hand. I mean, they're people just like us. You know, they want to be held accountable for, you know, everything they do. They want to get, you know, this, you know, certain, I guess you say, the end of the stick treatment as, you know, being the golden ones, but they're not. They're people just like us. I mean, they go out and they do, you know, the opposite of what they're getting paid to do. I think it's very horrendous how they can call themselves a, you know, Goon Squad and, you know, still put on the badge and say they're protecting people.
So it is what they call it, a Goon Squad, right? But it definitely reminds me of the Klan. But if you know the history of the Klan, a lot of the Klan members were related. So let's take a look at Christian Dedmon's brother, Daryl Dedmon, what he was charged and convicted with on a federal level in 2011.
For the first time today, we heard from the teen accused of killing a man because he was black. Daryl Dedmon appeared before a judge and said he's not guilty of capital murder. 16 WAPT's Tammy Eswick was in the courtroom this morning and has the latest on this case.
To the charge laid in the indictment.
Daryl Dedmon did not hesitate when he spoke in court for the first time.
How do you wish to plead, Mr. Dedmon?
Not guilty.
All right.
Dedmon's attorney waived the right to hear the charges against her client, but Dedmon's case has been well covered for more than 2 months. The teen is accused of killing a 49-year-old black man, James Craig Anderson. Friday, the teen walked slowly and quietly into the courtroom. The arraignment lasted only a few minutes, but long enough for the prosecution and defense to start their first battle, whether to place a gag order on this case.
Your Honor, I think that's unnecessary. If there seems to be some problem in the future, we certainly understand the rules and we'll abide by them.
Respectfully, the
The only problem with that is once the cat's out of the bag, it can't be put back in.
In the end, a judge decided not to enforce the gag order, the first battle won by the prosecution. Now, the judge has given the DA until November 1st to decide whether they'll seek the death penalty.
Well, 3 young men are sentenced in connection with the 2011 hate crime murder of James Craig Anderson. It was one of several crimes targeting African Americans here in the capital city. The judge sentenced Daryl Dedmon to 50 years to run concurrently with his life sentence in state court. John Rice got a 18.5-year sentence, and Dylan Butler will serve 7 years in federal prison. The sister of James Craig Anderson told us his brutal death was driven by hatred, and he was targeted because he was an African American.
So all I have to say is all is well.
I know when we first started looking at the case, we didn't think that it was a racially motivated hate crime, but it turned out that it was, and that, it was almost a game to some of these people.
Daryl Dedmon, that is, he just escaped the death penalty because Anderson's mom, the black guy that they murdered, his mom wanted to spare Dedmon of the death penalty. So he didn't get the death penalty. Now, when you hear stories like this, it just reminds you of the post-construction era after the Civil War, the Civil Rights era. These are kind of stories that we hear. And it just seems like Mississippi is still living in those times. And I think by this time, the feds just need to do a straight up investigation of Mississippi, period. Especially the law enforcement there, the sheriff, the police departments. They need to do a whole sweep on Mississippi. I don't know what's going on in Mississippi. I hope all y'all black folks there are safe. I mean, earlier this year, we reported a case where
deputies got a call about a burglary and vandalism. When they arrived, Damien was identified as the suspect. The release says as a deputy approached him, he began to fight and resist arrest. They were able to eventually get him into custody and into a patrol car.
And I'm thinking they're taking my son to jail. So I go outside and tell my son goodbye and I love him and I'll be up there tomorrow. At that point, when I got to the side of the truck, my son was laid on the ground, unresponsive.
Monica Lee has said she believes if the sheriff had taken action against the deputies involved in her son's death, maybe they would not have gone on to attack Michael Jenkins and Eddie Parker.
So I think there definitely needs to be some eyes on Mississippi. I think, you can't say that Christian automatically can't be a cop or police because what his brother did, but I think there's a way of factoring it in when it comes to putting him on certain squads and stuff like that. And this whole thing with Dedmon, that's definitely a bloodline. But you let me know what you think in the comment section, and while you at it, hit that like button. And if you haven't yet, apply pressure to that subscribe button. You can also check out one of my videos that I did on the Montgomery Riverfront Brawl, some of my other videos. Well, anyways, you know how we like to end our videos over here at Moxie Approved, right? With that water. I'll see y'all here next time on Moxie Approved.